In December 2020, a national gas expansion plan was introduced in Nigeria to further make natural gas available for both personal and industrial use. 3 years on, the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NETI, says the country would require about $20 billion annually to actualize the program's targets so as to bridge the country's gas infrastructure gap. But as we speak, Nigeria has been unable to take full advantage of her gas reserves, which are the largest in Africa and the 9th largest globally. The current price of diesel and petrol place urgent demand on managers of the country's gas resources to get things right. What you could say, the advent of gas-powered vehicles in Nigeria indicates some progress. Well, these issues inform our focus on Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am Eucharia Clinton. Joining me to discuss Nigeria's gas expansion plan is Olabode Shomi, an energy expert. Welcome to Nigeria today.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Always good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us is Ubani Nkaginieme, PhD, an electrical engineer. He is the president of Virtual Gas Integrated Association of Nigeria, VGIAN. Is also an association of, VGIAN is an association of performance companies in the gas value chain, from the oil feed wellhead to the end user of gas. Glad you could join us, sir. So I'll start with you, Nkaginieme. Tell us more about this gas expansion plan and the benefits therein to Nigerians, given the fact that we are faced with a lot of challenges. For instance, the effect of the oil of fuel subsidy removal. Okay, it's like we've lost him there. So, Olabode, you had what the NETI report of Nigerian gas infrastructure gap. They said they need about $20 billion annually to actualize the plan. What do you make of this?
Okay, infrastructure. Infrastructure globally requires money, a lot of money. And they are not usually the money that comes from your back pocket or your savings account. And as a result, what we are seeing is basically staring us in the face because of the years of neglect. You will recall about 20 years ago when we started with our train 2, train 3, the trains that go to NLNG. We were at par, in fact, slightly ahead of Qatar. The difference between us and Qatar is that we stopped investing. Qatar continued investing, and they continued investing, and they continued investing, and they're where they are now. So basically, what the NETI report is telling us is that we need to be consistent and further consistent until we get to the promised land. If you recall, when the IMF did, the World Bank did the analysis of the fastest growing countries for last year, if you guessed who the fastest growing countries were, if you guessed China, you'd be wrong. If you guessed the Asian tigers, you'd be wrong. If you guessed India, you'd be wrong. The fastest growing was Saudi Arabia, followed by Kuwait, then Qatar. You know, those things, primarily because of the demand on gas as a result of the war in Ukraine and the energy crisis in Europe. In simple terms, Nigeria could have significantly benefited from that. But one of the reasons why we are not benefiting from that is absence of infrastructure. In this case, gas infrastructure.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Ubani, I earlier asked you to walk us through this gas expansion plan and the benefits therein, given the fact that we are faced with a lot of challenges right now, for instance, the effect of the fuel subsidy removal.
Thank you for having me tonight. It's really a pleasure to be here. Tonight, I'll be wearing two hats, basically. One hat for Nigerian Gas Expansion Program, and another hat for the Virtual Gas Integrated Association of Nigeria. NGEP just took off just before the Decade of Gas Declaration. And the whole idea is to make sure that we harness all the gas we are flaring and make sure also that the gas gets to the end users in every LGA in this country. So that's the whole idea of the program. And it's been on since 2016-17. Unfortunately, the program has not been strictly followed or adhered to, and that is why we are where we are today, that we are not able to give the masses an alternative fuel that will be much, much cheaper than petrol and diesel.
Okay, Dr. Ubani, from the NATO's report, we need $20 billion annually to actualize this plan. Given the debt profile of the country, do you think this could be achievable?
The way we have designed the NGEP program, it's supposed to get gas to every year in this country within 36 months. If we had started when this kicked off, we would be there by now. And in terms of the value of investment required, clearly it's enormous, but it's not money that will be spent in one day. It has to be a deliberate, well thought out rollout. As you can imagine, if you look at the gas pipeline footprint in Nigeria, it's not that great. It's still primitive, actually. And so the best way to get gas to every corner is what we call virtual pipelines. And what that means is take gas from wherever you see it, be it the wellhead, be it from a pipeline, process it into CNG, LPG, LNG, you name it, and now deliver it to where we need it. Just to clarify a few misconceptions, we've actually been operating virtual pipelines for over 50 years in this country, since we started using LPG. LPG is a virtual gas in the sense that we take it from the depot and we move it to the end user. We're going to do the same with CNG and LNG. One of our members, Greenville, is already doing that. Quite a few of our members are in the process of delivering their LNG plants. So that will join the fray already. CNG, we've been delivering CNG, especially to industries and quite a few commercially viable IPP clusters since 2010. This is now the time to make sure that the masses get access to both CNG and LNG locally. The last speaker alluded to what is going on in Europe and all the opportunities we have missed. It's also important to emphasize that if we are not using gas domestically, we can gain all the advantages by exporting what we have. And we will be in big, big trouble locally.
Okay, now show me. You had all that he said there. Now, I know the Petroleum Industry Act has provided better platforms to enhance opportunities in the Nigerian gas market. Now, what more can be done to translate these to more sustainable economic development?
Okay, basically, gas is like as the Latin would say, tabula rasa. That means an empty slate, sorry. So gas can be whatever we make it to be. Now, you will recall during the presidential debates, one of the promises by one of the, in fact, the president, is that the idea of building a pipeline, gas pipeline, that will run from the south-south across the southeast into the southwest. So the thinking behind that basically is that for most of the small-scale industries, in terms of the producing industries there, they can be empowered by gas. Now, if you look at the gas master plan, it focuses on 3 areas for domestic gas usage, which is part of what he was talking about. It speaks of gas to power, gas-based industries. So those are industries that use gas as raw material. So you're talking methanol, fertilizer, and coal. He's also talking about LPG, that's the cooking gas at home, and then gas as fuel for industry. So industries that use gas as fuel, which can also include those using gas to power vehicles, power their generator sets, and all that. The thinking behind this is that if you have the proper infrastructure, you can actually have an industry, actually a producing manufacturing industry in every local government or more, using whatever raw materials is available in that place. So for example, if a local government has an abundance of oranges or mangoes, you can easily start with a mango processing plant, which will make sure it harvests every mango that everybody produces, even when in excess, because mango juice can always be sold to other cities and if necessary to be exported. That way there's capacity building and what we call even development. So with gas, we can have even development in Nigeria so that there will be less attraction to the cities. You can have the people being constructively engaged. The process of even building the infrastructure itself is going to engage so many people. Because if you look at the New Deal that was in America after the Second World War, one of the things it did was to employ a lot of people who were unemployed. So gas can do virtually anything we want it to do. It's just about what we want to do with it.
Okay, right now this is still Nigeria Today. We'll pause here for a break, but the conversation will continue after the break. Just stay.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are talking about the Nigeria gas expansion plan, and my guests are still here with me. Now, Dr. Ubani, now, I know you said we've been flaring or using the virtual gas for over 50 years. But now you would also agree with me that what we have now is not even enough for Nigerians. Now, how can we tap into this and make it more affordable and more available to Nigerians?
That's a great question. As my colleague here alluded to, the opportunities are just amazing. When you look at the problems we have today, it may seem daunting, but it also presents entrepreneurs with massive opportunities. In terms of what we can do with moving gas virtually,
Okay, show me, you had exactly what I asked there. So how can we make this available and affordable to Nigerians? As much as we say we've been moving virtual gas for over 50 years, but it seems not to be enough.
I don't know if exactly virtual gas is the long-term plan, but let me speak to some more fun.
Okay, sorry, I'll have to stop you there. It's like our Zoom is back. So, Dr. Ubani, you were telling us how it can be available and affordable to Nigerians there.
The fastest way to make gas available and affordable is virtually, by basically producing LPG, CNG, LNG, and move them by trucks, rail, river, whichever transportation mode is available, we get it to the end user as quick as possible. This also presents tremendous opportunity to solve many problems in one go. By implementing full virtual pipeline footprint in Nigeria, we're going to create over 3 million jobs in the next 36 months if we implement it faithfully. You did allude to the cost. Just to give you an insight into the type of investment that will pour into Nigeria if we get our policy and implementation right. Every state is going to need a minimum of $60 million to kickstart this process. And that will come partly from government, but largely from private industry if we want to do this properly. Government's role is largely to provide the enabling environment. Enabling environment can come in form of guarantees, in form of making sure that what people deliver gets paid for, and making sure that there is as little wastage as possible.
Okay, so show me, you were about to touch some areas, but then before you continue, how effective has implementation of the PIA been in improving the industry, talking about the gas industry?
Okay, the PIA means the Petroleum Industry Act is a law. I think we put too much expectations on it because like any other law, it exists to give people guidelines. So it's like saying, okay, now that we have painted the road and we have tarred the road, how has it helped you to get faster from here to Lokoja? A lot still depends on the people who are driving, the kind of car you are driving, whether it's raining on the day, visibility and all that. So the industry is a business. So there is a responsibility for entrepreneurs and the business thinking to actually maximize what is there. What the PIA has done is to define and ensure clarity in a number of things. And I'll give you a typical example so that we know where we're coming from and what the PIA actually does. There was one of the multinationals who did an amount of work with gas. But because there were no gas terms at the time the production sharing contract were entered into, there was a lot of money that was earned for gas, but it couldn't be spent simply because there were no terms. And as a result, we were broke, but we had money. We couldn't use it legally, primarily because the laws to guide that weren't there. So that's one of those things that the PIA has done. It has set out gas terms. It has set out factors. It has set out an industry that should allow us to operate within finite times. So it is left for the industry stakeholders to now maximize the opportunities that the clarity of the PIA has presented. Because the PIA is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. So in other words, the industry players used to drive around in an old, rickety Volkswagen. Now they have a Mercedes with 5 cylinders and that kind of a thing. So basically, we expect more and easier things to be done with the PIA.
Okay.
But it's still our responsibility to move the industry to do what it should do.
Okay, so Professor, what you were also saying now, the NETI also recommended a detailed, realistic, and comprehensive gas policy with clear rules for state and non-state actors and timelines to track periodic progress. What do you think about this?
When you say detailed and clear, you know, we need to understand what they mean, because there are policies in place, and the policies are not opaque. It's not computer science. It's not mathematics. What may not be clear is timelines. So in other words, maybe they are looking at a project-specific kind of policy, but a policy is not a project. So a policy is supposed to have some latitude for people to operate in. When projects come in, those projects should have timelines. So if the policy is going to encourage certain projects in certain areas, so be it. But the truth be told, while we're spending so much time doing all the talking and doing all the fundamentals, which is good in itself because that's part of it, there's also a need for certain things to be done. We need to get our hands dirty. We need to get the boots on the ground. We have 3 major projects within Nigeria that everybody, even if you're not in the industry, can think of. One is the Trans-Saharan Nigerian Gas Project. Another one is the AKK. If those 2 projects are achieved, the impact in the industry will be such that even if there are flaws within these policies, people will easily not be able to point to it. So there's a place for the talk, and there's a place for constructive discussion. We don't take that out. But there is, more importantly, a place for doing. And now that we have spent a number of time getting the PIA there, getting gas terms clear, getting certain policies put out by NMDPRA, it is also important that we focus on minute-by-minute action plan that will ensure that the basic pipeline projects that are before us, the basic infrastructure projects that are before us, are executed. Because at the end of the day, it is what we have that we can bank on.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Ubani, quickly before we go, now how can we birth the gas project in a manner that would be cost-efficient, cost-effective, and less hazardous to, you know, the citizens?
Great question again. Really, for us to deliver this program the way we have planned it, you need to have the human capital that will drive this. So a lot of training needs to be done. You're going to train the trainers that will go out to each and every local government and train people and certify them. So it's not just going to acquire hardware. You have to train the people that will manage this process. You need to make sure that when you buy all this hardware, you're able to actually use them, that you're able to buy the correct one, able to certify installations, and people can actually deliver this gas safely, train people to use the gas safely. Natural gas is very safe. LPG we have been using for over 50 years, but these are still gases. You need to be aware, you need to respect the fact that they are gases. Is this a big problem? No. Is it a big opportunity? Absolutely. So we have to quickly prepare. We are late already, but better late than never. So this is an opportunity to get so many of our skilled, unemployed people working in this industry. And it won't just be technicians and engineers. If you look at the value chain, there is something to do for everybody, going from business development people to bankers to marketers to just about everybody. So that value chain is massive, as I have pointed out.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Ubani. That's it on Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Dr. Ubani Nkaginieme, PhD, an electrical engineer. He is the president of Virtual Gas Integrated Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And also, very big thank you to Olabode Shomi, an energy expert. Thank you so much for your time.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
And also to our viewer, thank you for always being a part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today is every weekday by 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch these and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am Victoria Clinton. Bye-bye.